How quick do you think they're going to switch it over to YouTube? Yeah, I forgot my password. What was my password? What email did I use? I know I didn't give it my real one. Right? The sheriffs? Well, I guess this is sheriff land, right? East of us. Behind us. Yeah. Hey, I'll let the desk know. Skyvox, Simon Desk. Listen to what is that? Lomita Sheriffs? Lomita, maybe? Century Sheriffs. I'll join you as well, but just listen in. There might be something even more exciting than this. All right, I got to turn the show down. And let me turn the scanner up. And let me get rid of the LA County Fire Department. And let me put on the sheriffs. More static. More static. Let me just lock it up and I'll dial in Century and then Compton? No. There's Century. All right, I'll just leave it on Century for a minute. All right, hey, I'm thinking that the room is probably filled with people right now, just trying to figure out what is going on out here. This is happening in the beautiful city of Inglewood. What is burning? Well, let's talk about some. Let's build up to that. Let's build up to that. This is definitely a fire out here, LA County Fire Department. This went second alarm pretty quick. First engines that arrived out here, they confirmed they did have a fire inside of a two-story structure, and originally, unconfirmed, they were saying that this was some sort of dispensary/grow operation. I don't think it's a dispensary because I don't see any kind of storefront activity there. Grow operation, that quite possibly could be. Now, the first units that got here, they did make entry into the building, and they were fighting it, and I'm doing the air quotes, you can't see me, traditionally firefighting effort where they fought the fire from the inside, got some people up on that rooftop. They were trying to figure out what was burning. They did have a mayday call. One of the firefighters inside, because of the heavy smoke, got a little disoriented, and they actually went in and got that person out, that firefighter out. No injuries to anybody. That firefighter is okay, but the flames continued to burn, and it got worse. They had a partial roof collapse, and quickly they said, you know what, we're going to go defensive. What is defensive? Well, if you guys play football, you might be like, I got an idea, and it is pretty much the same thing. They got all their people out from inside, and their plan now is just to keep those flames at that one building. They don't want the flames to spread to the two hotels that are on either side of this building that is burning out here on Century Boulevard. And so if you are in the area, you know the area, and you're like, hey, Stu, where is this exactly? Well, it is right here off of Century Boulevard. What's that right there? That's where Hawthorne turns into La Brea. Now, they definitely have the roads closed out there, and you can see they're continuing to bring in heavy equipment. Urban search and rescue, that's probably for some of that, the roof collapse, but they're also bringing in hazmat because at one point, when they got everybody out of that building, those flames really started hopping. I wish we could roll back some tape and show you what was happening earlier on, but those flames were getting higher than those ladders, so I would venture to say at least 100 feet in the air, maybe more. So my guess is something flammable the fire got into something more flammable down there inside that building. More roof collapse happened, and those flames continued to burn. They got oxygen and also fuel, that fuel being, I'm believing, some sort of oil. Wink, wink, nod, nod. I don't really know for sure, but all that will come out later on. What's happening right now? Well, they're continuing to battle these flames. They're putting a lot of water on it. Look at all that heavy smoke. It just continues to bellow out. But if you're just joining us now, this is actually looking like a lot less than was earlier on. Still a lot of a heavy black smoke that indicates something that's burning in there that may be oil-based. Maybe it's rubber for all I know. Like I said, we haven't had any kind of solid confirmation on what is inside that building. Yet that fire continues to burn. These firefighters, they have to put that fire out. Doesn't make any difference what it is. And they are doing a fantastic job. That heavy smoke continues to bellow out of that building. It is getting into some of the structures nearby. Haven't heard any type of evacuations or official evacuations, but you do see folks making their way out and also some masks on and people putting their shirts over their faces. So you know that that is stinky down there on the ground. As far as the firefighters go, well, they've got professional apparatus, and you can see they're all pretty much geared up, especially the ones that are very, very close to that building. As we make our way over to that rooftop that has collapsed, you can see right there a lot of heavy smoke still coming out. Also interesting colors of smoke. Now, I'm not sure, maybe that could be just construction debris when that roof collapsed, but there is some kind of yellow tinge to some of that stuff that is coming out of there. So that might be also one of the reasons why they're saying, hey, we're going to need these hazmat crews out there. Check out some of these firefighters. You guys ever wanted to be a firefighter? You know somebody? Encourage them. Check that out. This is pretty awesome stuff. These guys are doing a great job, and it is definitely dangerous. But you know what? I understand it's worth the paycheck. Check that out. You got these firefighters up on these ladder pipes. They are basically just up in the air, pretty high up in the air, and just putting water on it at a distance and actually getting, kind of shooting over what a lot of the other guys are down there and getting into that heavier spots where we really can't even see what's going on. Now, some people might be saying, hey, Skyvox, why aren't we like right up on that thing? Why are you end of lens? Well, we are very close to LAX, and LAX will not allow us any closer than what we got. I can kind of give you a lay of the land. That right there, that's SoFi, and then you also have Forum right there, and I believe this is a training camp for, I'm not even sure who it is. Intuit, that's the Intuit Dome right there. It says so. Come on, Stu, can you read? Sometimes, maybe not always. But at any rate, so that's kind of where this is all happening, right off of Century Boulevard. Now, like I said, the good news is no firefighters injured, no civilians injured. We haven't heard anybody with smoke inhalation or anything like that coming out of any of these hotels that are nearby. But this firefight definitely continuing out here. Usually it is interesting watching how they battle these flames, how they go about it, what their plans are. And also different fire departments have different protocols on how they handle structure fires. Now, LA County Fire Department, safety is the bottom line for any of the first responders. So keeping their people, their personnel safe, that is number one. Keeping the public safe, also probably equal to number one. And so that's one of the reasons why they went defensive so early. As far as structure collapse, anything like that, well, the roof definitely is gone. I can tell you that for a fact. We actually saw some of it collapse earlier on. When we first arrived here, there was a small portion right here in that front part that was already down, and we were seeing flames making their way through there. What fell later was the stuff kind of more towards the center right now in where that heavy black smoke is. Between the buildings, you can see water shooting up right there. No, that's not a broken water main. Those are firefighters, and they are cooling the structure, this one and that one, and that's how they're going to keep those flames from spreading into that building next door. This is all very important work, but as far as structure collapse goes, this seems to be a newer building. I'd venture to say maybe 70s, late 70s, early 80s, and that is a huge plus for the firefighters. The structure, the code, and the fire the way the fire suppression is set up in these buildings definitely is going to make that building more secure. As far as the fire suppression, well, you know what? The fire suppression right now is going to be LA County Fire Department, and they're on the outside looking in, putting a lot of water in there, trying to keep those flames from spreading, and they're doing a fantastic job. There's an alleyway that separates some of those residential homes. You can see that they did put up a ladder pipe in the back. I was wondering what was going on back there. I think the smoke was blocking it. I was wondering maybe they weren't doing it because of the power lines, but apparently they found a safe spot where they could bring that ladder pipe up and to be able to put the water onto those flames. Right now, though, that building still heavy bulk of fire. That's fancy talk for the fire department, meaning there is still a lot of active fire inside that building. How they're going to put this out? Well, right now it is pretty simple. It's old school. They're just going to put a lot of water on it and make sure try to get get those flames out. I do not like it when people say surround and drown. Well, you know, maybe that is kind of what is going on today. But at right now, that's the only way they can keep those flames in check. The building itself, probably a total loss. Cost and cause, that's going to be an investigation that goes on much later on. You've got the Inglewood Fire Department, PD down there. I always get confused between black and white and red. Maybe I'm colorblind. But yeah, it's definitely a police car. They're also working the streets out here. They're going to make sure that the traffic control is happening. But look at the amount of apparatus that the county fire is throwing out here to battle these flames. I would venture to say I actually have had the scanner off for a minute or two. This has probably been bumped up to a major alarm, if not third alarm fire. It definitely was second alarm when we first arrived out here. Again, this all happening in Inglewood, right off of Century Boulevard. That major cross I just showed you a moment ago, that is going to be Hawthorne, where Hawthorne turns into La Brea. If you drive this area, you know the area. And perhaps maybe you can hit me up and say, hey, Stu, this is what this building is. I know. I got inside information. But at any rate, right now, it's all just speculation and also what was coming out on the scanner. Whatever just happened, you can see it right there, that black smoke continuing to bellow out. So that those flames made it into another section of the building. And again, you can see that heavy black smoke bellowing out. That's all new. Trust me, the fire department, they're keeping an eye on it. They know what's going on. They're professionals. I'm just a guy in a helicopter talking about what we're seeing. But again, it definitely seems like it's gotten into something flammable inside that building once again, and the flames continue to bellow out. There was reports of explosions when they first arrived here. That also not confirmed, but it definitely could be, depending upon what the operations are inside that two-story commercial building here off of Century near the cross of La Brea. But whatever it is, it's going to burn hot, it's going to burn fast, and then all of a sudden we'll start seeing a lot of that gray smoke. Again, all this happening in the city of Inglewood. I wonder where we are. I wonder if we're just on YouTube or if we're just up on the app. And if we are just up on the app, are there... Oh, it doesn't really make any difference. I don't have enough internets. I don't have enough internets. So I can't join you guys. I wish I could. And if you know me and you got my phone number, you can't even text me because I got the little satellite of death on my phone, meaning that I'm not going to be getting any messages anytime soon. But we can keep an eye on what's going on for sure. Again, this is the LA County Fire Department. They're battling these flames out here. Nondescript building, two-story commercial, whatever's in it, definitely is going to be some sort of oil base. And I'm just going off of that heavy, heavy black smoke. Could be tar, but tar is also oil base. Could be tires. Tires are also oil based. We can play this game all day. But at any rate, you can see that heavy black smoke continuing to bellow out. Firefighters continuing to do their job. They're doing a fantastic job keeping the other structures safe. The amount of water that's being put onto that building, it's got to be astonishing. I wonder what those numbers are, and if we ever will find out. I'm kind of curious. I do remember one time one of my firefighter buddies was giving me numbers on how much is coming out of those ladder pipes, and it was like, it was phenomenal. It was like an Olympic-sized pool every minute or something along those lines. It is a lot of water coming out of those pipes. And you can see they got 3 of them going, and then, of course, you've got all these other hand lines up here on those rooftops and then some between the buildings as well. So there is a phenomenal amount of water that is being poured into that building. I wonder, somebody's probably saying, well, I wonder if they open up those rolling doors, if there's just going to be a tidal wave. It doesn't really work like that, but I thought that too in the past, trust me. So the fire department continuing to do what they can to keep these flames in check. And again, this happening in the city of Inglewood. If you're just joining us, I'd venture to say, if you can, rewind it, and you'll be able to get some more information. But right now, very active firefight out here, commercial fire. It's off of Century Boulevard near the corner of where La Brea turns into Hawthorne. You can definitely see Century Boulevard closed in both directions. Again, no injuries to firefighters, no injuries to civilians. And you'd venture to say there must have been some civilians in there that probably have gotten out and are talking to the fire department. Also, check out those AC units up there on that roof. Those are not cheap, and they all are new. So, again, this building abandoned? Probably not. What was going on in there? We're going to have to wait for the official report, but we are seeing what's going on. We've been ear hustling what the fire department's been talking about, especially earlier on. Right now, I pretty much have it off. As far as building or the building collapsing or walls coming down, I doubt any of that's going to happen just because this is a newer structure, and of course they have different codes as the years went on. But everything looks pretty solid, and again, where the firefighters are and in relationship to the building, you can see that they are not just saying, hey, we're golden. They've got a good distance between them and those walls. So, you know, the possibility always there. Safety, that's number one on any of the first responders' list of things to do. And the number of firefighters out here just seems to increase. So I'm venturing to say they are calling for more firefighters. And again, take a look at that. More of that black smoke, more of that orange plasma coming out of that building. So whatever's burning is moving around in there. I'm wondering if maybe they're containers and the things are opening up and spilling out and just continuing to move around. Because those flames, they sometimes they're in the front, sometimes they're in the back, sometimes they're in the middle. So whatever it is, it's definitely continuing to move, and these firefighters doing what they can to keep the city safe. A little less black smoke and a little more of that orange glow coming out of that rooftop out here. The LA County Fire Department continuing to work this fire out here off of Century near the corner of La Brea. And you can see those flames continuing just to bellow out of there, and they are definitely being pushed. So there is a heavy bulk of fire inside of this building for sure. What can they do? Well, they're doing it. Are they going to send people in? Not a chance. Would you go in there? I don't even, no, you wouldn't, and I don't think anybody else would as well. So right now, how are they fighting this? Well, they're doing it as what's called defensive mode. You can see a number of firefighters on that hotel next door on one side and next door on the other side. This is going to be, what is it? I thought Century Boulevard was east-west street. It's not? Yeah, it is east-west. Yeah, so this is definitely going to be on the east and west side of that building right there. And you can see them continuing to do what's called structure protection, especially on the one that is to the west side of it, the one that's closer to La Brea. And, you know, doing amazing work. And we don't see too much of them, but there are firefighters in that little gap between these two structures. And continuing the water right there, somebody might be saying, well, they're not hitting anything. They're not doing it. That's not where the fire is. Well, that's not their job right now. Their job is actually to cool these buildings down so that that wall doesn't get to the point where it starts heating up and starting fires inside of the hotel next door. And then also trying to cool down this one as well to keep that heat from getting to the hotel next door. So those guys are doing what they need to do. That's their gig. And the other ones, well, they all have assignments. And most of their assignments are basically put a lot of water in that giant hole in the roof, try to put that fire out. Again, if it's oil that's burning in there, this is going to be a difficult firefight, and it's going to be here for more than a minute. And every now and then, that black smoke kind of turns, like right now. You can see it kind of going white, kind of going gray. I always hear these comments about, oh, white smoke, that's good. You know, I think it's one of those things. It's like, you know, you when you talk to a child, you're just like you don't want them to be too scared. You know, the white smoke, it could be steam. and it could mean that the fire is out, but it also could mean that that the fire is so hot it's burning things completely, and that's just straight ash coming out of the building right now, and or maybe it is construction materials, meaning the building that's burning right now. That could be one of the reasons why it's changing colors. When you see that heavy black, though, that's usually going to be some sort of tar or oil-based something or another, plastic, even clothing. But then again, a lot of clothing has, say it with me, everybody, oil in it or oil-based products. So the fire definitely continuing out here. They're doing what they can to keep these flames in check, and that is they're doing a positive, amazing job. Again, this is LA County Fire Department. We are in the Inglewood area, very close to Hawthorne, Hawthorne Boulevard turns into La Brea. Somebody might be like, isn't that Century? Yeah, that is Century, and that's exactly where we are, keeping an eye on this fire. I'm going to turn off my mic for a minute or two, but believe me, we'll be back. I wish I could read your comments. If you can leave comments, I'm not even really sure. I have yet to be on that on the app with you guys. I tend to do it very soon. If you guys are up on YouTube, that might be something a little different, but I don't have enough internet to make that happen. So at any rate, I wish I could answer your questions. I wish I could join in on your conversations. I wish I could maybe poke fun at some of your unusual comments. But at any rate, right now, I'm just looking and yammering, doing a lot of yammering. Let me just get it. So what you're seeing right there is actually that right there is a positive. When you see that smoke kind of just falling down on itself, that means that whatever the heat source is starting to fail. A lot of times when you see smoke rising from a structure fire, oh, look at that. Now that's a cool shot. Wow. Anyway, I wish I would have known. I would have gotten shots of the pilot. Anyways, so you can see it right there. The smoke starting to kind of just settle down. So that means the heat, the source of heat that was pushing that is kind of starting to fail. Maybe whatever that fuel is inside this building, that maybe we saw the last containers open up and burn, or I'm, again, not 100% sure what is burning inside there, but I can tell you fire behavior, smoke behavior, this is all showing that the heat that was being generated from that structure fire is starting to wane a little bit, starting to fail. When it, you saw it earlier on when it was that thick black smoke and those heavy flames, it was going pretty much straight up. That's because the heat from the building being generated was lifting the smoke that high up in the air. Right now, though, it's starting to settle down. That means it is getting cooler in that building, and that's what they need to see. And when I say cooler, I don't mean like, 70 degrees or 60 degrees like you need a sweater. I don't mean that at all. I mean it's, the fire, the temperature of the fire, the heat that was being generated inside that little makeshift oven of concrete and brick is actually starting to cool down. And whatever the fuel is that was fueling that heat is definitely starting to slow down as well. But the firefight definitely continuing. I can guarantee you these guys aren't just going to pack up their stuff and move off. As I'm looking, and there's a fire truck, looks like he's almost getting ready to leave. I think he's just arriving. They probably are going to start swapping out. These guys working hard. They are not just sitting in a helicopter yammering about what they're seeing. These guys are physically working to put these flames out. I can guarantee you they are getting a little tired down there. And just for all the PC folks out there, when I say those guys, the guys and gals that are working out there at the LA County Fire Department, they are all working extremely hard, doing what they can to keep those flames in check and the neighborhood safe. But right now, it definitely seems to be slowing down as far as the fire itself. Could there be another, hot spot? Could there be another section of oil or another spot of fuel that could go up? Definitely. I have no idea what's inside there, but the way it looks right now, definitely the turn has been made, and it is they're starting to get a handle on this. And again, you can see some of these firefighters up on that rooftop. That guy there with the orange hat, pretty sure that's a fire captain. That's the reason why he's got that orange hat. This guy right there, yellow hat, that's a firefighter. That's one of the difference. And I did see a white hat off in the distance over there. That's not the good guy. That is actually probably going to be a battalion chief. I'm sure there are several of each of those members of the fire department out there working to keep everything in check. There's one of the white hats. And that's kind of like boss. It's like boss, orange hat management, yellow hat workers. That's a way to think about it if you want. But at any rate, the fire continues to burn out here. These guys are working to do what they can to keep it inside that building. And even when that smoke is done, I can almost guarantee you if you come back at 5 o'clock tonight and watch Fox, I hope they have a 5 o'clock show. And we might be doing the Dodger game. At any rate, the fire department, if you're driving on Century, the fire department's definitely going to be here well into the early evening hours. That road is definitely going to be closed in both directions. And even when that fire is out, they're still going to be doing cost and cause and investigations. So this is going to be going on for a minute. At any rate, though, as far as the active firefight, definitely starting to slow. Definitely seeing that turn that the firefighters needed to see as the smoke is starting to wane. Those flames have become a lot less, and of course that firefight is starting to turn for the firefighters' benefit. Yep, there you go again. I wonder if people are like, oh great, the weed prices are going to go up, but there's so much weed out there. Dude, when I went pee, I'm telling you, I'm not even joking. I felt it in my lungs. I don't think I pissed that much in a long time. I don't know what that was all about. Oh, my mic is open. Sorry about that, guys. We've been flying all morning. I mean, like literally, I do not think we've had a legit break all morning. I mean, the only time we get on the ground is because we have to get fuel. And yeah, you know what? I am a human being. And yeah, what I said, we're on the internet. If you guys are writing all caps emails to people right now, please, by all means, just kind of give them a quote on where it was. And I'll make my way over to HR again. They know me they know me on a first name basis down there. At any rate, that's the reason why people tune in. But yeah, the firefight definitely continuing out here. I'm starting to wonder how much longer we're going to be here because it's beginning to be a lot more smoke, a lot less flames, and of course those firefighters continuing to do their thing down there. But even the attitude of the firefighters, you can kind of see they're getting a little less tense, a little bit more like us where we're just kind of talking. But at any rate, keeping an eye on this fire. Yeah. I could just imagine what the comments are right now, and believe me, I'm right there with you. I am right there with you. Trust me. Checking back in with y'all, and yes, I know my mic is open this time, and we are still out here in the Inglewood area, right off of Century, near where Hawthorne turns into La Brea. That's going to be the major intersection right over here. What's happening right now? What's new? What's different? What's cool? Well, what's cool is that the fire is starting to get under control, and they are starting to get the temperatures down inside that building. You did see earlier on that there was a truck back there with what's called a ladder pipe. They had it up in that alleyway. They actually brought that one down. And the one that I'm showing you right there is actually off of Century. And then they actually are bringing in another one on Century. So they're moving those ladder pipes around. So these firefighters are definitely making a plan, doing what they can to get the water in the right spots. Do they want this thing to reignite? I don't think it's going to reignite, but there probably is a lot of concern about whatever the fuel is inside this building that's fueling those flames. Some people are probably, if you're just getting here, you're probably like saying, well, Stu, it's probably the building. Yeah, it is, but there was something else inside this building that was putting up a lot of, like you're seeing right there, a lot of black smoke. Now, that could just be a portion of that roof collapsing up towards the front, or maybe just tar paper. And in this case, I'm thinking that that's what that actually might be. But at other points, there was a huge plumes of black smoke, a lot of heat being generated from that fire inside that building. And all that happening, it leads me to believe that it is some sort of oil-based products that are inside this building that were creating those heavy, heavy flames. And not just like a can, like a quart. There must have been a lot of it in there. As far as the fire goes itself, we haven't seen any real active fire or flames making their way out from the top of that rooftop. But earlier on, when we first arrived here, shortly after our first arriving here, we did see flames basically getting, I would venture to say, at least 100 feet into the air. Definitely roof collapse activity happening there as well. What do we got next door? Well, you've got two hotels on the east and the west side of that building. That Topper, the Topper Motel, that's going to be on the west side. This one going to be on the east side. As far as these buildings, I'm sure they're telling anybody in there, if you want to evacuate, by all means do it. You probably can shelter in place. I would venture to say it's probably getting a little stinky in there. It probably has been for a minute or two. That's not a comment on the hotel. That's a comment on the smoke. But you can see that the smoke definitely changing colors. If you've been watching this entire time, thank you. But also you can see that the smoke has definitely changed colors. The smoke is also not going as high. So that telling me that this fire is starting to get under control. You got the LA County Fire Department down there. This is in the city of proper Inglewood. And they did call in a lot of backup out there. A lot of folks down there on the ground. You've got the urban search and rescue just in case there is some sort of collapse. That's also heavy rescue. They're probably here for that same reason. But they also were asking for hazmat earlier on. I have yet to see that truck arrive, but that doesn't mean they are not here. That's probably going to be part of the investigation. And they've made the decision it's safe for the firefighters to go inside those walls again. Right now, though, that firefight definitely continuing. A lot of that gray smoke and other colors. Now, those other colors could definitely be the building itself, like those light grays, light yellows, things like that. Again, I wish I could join you guys. I wish I could answer your questions or see what you're asking us, but we are so close to LAX. They've got us up in the stratosphere. Let me kind of show you where we are. Getting you like a little bit of a wider shot. We did have a plane fly through the shot earlier on, but that one right there, that's going to be SoFi. This one's going to be Intuit right there. If you are from this area, you're like, oh, I know exactly where that is. That's the 105, and if I tilt over here, there's that little airport that we were talking about earlier on. That's LAX. So, yeah, the tower kind of frowns on us flying in the flight path of those big aircraft. So we've got to stay up high, farther away. That's one of the reasons why we're at the end of the lens, as it would be, as we're watching the LA County Fire Department continue to battle these flames. More black smoke bellowing out. So again, either another portion of roof collapsing and or some other fuel. Something's opening up. Something failed in there. And there's definitely some more fuel burning inside that building. And we probably will here as well. Skyfox, Simon Desk. They probably don't listen to us on the FM. They probably listen to us. Hey, how much longer would you like us to stay here? Yeah. Okay, copy all. I've done the gamut. I've said something inappropriate. Done a lot of, serious talking. And my throat's starting to hurt. Stockwell and Willowbrook. What city is that in? Culver. Stockwell. Yeah, I think so. Willowbrook. Okay, Willowbrook. Stockwell. What was the cross on Stockwell? What was the cross on Stockwell? Oh, I think I lost.